So for the first one, you have to write the ordered pairs. So remember, an ordered pair is a coordinate. And you got to write it as a coordinate or else you get a point taken off. So point A, is 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4 up. So remember, on your points, the coordinates do go side to side because it's x, y. These are ordered. That's why they're called ordered pairs, alphabetical order. Slope is rise over run. The points, you go side to side, then up and down. So point B is left 1, 2, 3, so that's -3 and up 0. Point C is over 1, 2, 3, 4 and down 1, 2, 3, so -3. And point D is over 0, down 2, so 0, -2. So remember, anytime you're doing a coordinate, make sure you remember to put parentheses around it, otherwise you get a point taken off. Okay, decide whether the given ordered pair is a solution of the equation. What are your answers going to be?
Yes or no.
Yes or no. So, remember, here's an ordered pair. This is the x, that's the y. So you just plug those in there. Put 3 in for x, 2 in for y, and figure it out. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2, does that equal 8?
Yes.
Yes. The x is a 1, the y is a 4. 4 equals -3 times 1 is -3 plus 1. Is that true? No. -3 plus 1 is -2. Finding the x-intercept in this one and finding the y-intercept in this one. Remember, if you did a graph, to find the intercepts, you put 0 in for x, 0 in for y. So here they're just looking for just the x-intercept, which means you put 0 in for y. So if I put 0 in for y, this turns to 0. -3x equals 15. So you divide by -3, and you get x equals -5. So that's the x-intercept. So what do you got to do to find the y-intercept?
Put 0 in for
Put x equals 0. To find the y, the x is 0. To find the x, the y is 0. So we got to put 0 in right there. -3 times 0 is nothing. So to figure out what y is, divide by 6 and you get y equals 3. Number 6, sketch the line that has the given intercepts. And it's not labeled, but remember, this is the x-axis, that's the y-axis. So do you understand what it means the x-intercepts -2?
Yeah.
That intercepts the x-axis at -2. The y-intercepts at 3, intercepts the y-axis at 3. And then when you draw your lines, remember to put the arrows on them, because the line doesn't just stop, it keeps going forever in this angle and down forever this way.
This is how easier test
It is. Slope. Remember, slope is rise over run. Rise is up and down. So this is it's y minus y over x minus x. You got to remember that it's easy to mix those around because we're used to doing x first. So remember, the y's are on top for slope. And slope is a fraction. It's not a decimal. It's not a coordinate. It's just you take the y minus the y. 5 take away -1 is 6. Over the x minus the x. -3 take away 2 is -5. So that slope is 6 over -5, or -6/5. So remember, it doesn't matter which way you subtract. If I would have did it backwards, this y minus that y, I would have got negative 6. And then this x minus that x, I would have got positive 5. You would have got the same fraction, it's just the negatives on top instead of the bottom. So for number 8, y, take away y, is 2. Remember to do the second one and the second one because those are the y's. The first numbers are the x's, xy, xy. So then 5 take away negative 2 is 7. So the slope is 2/7. So remember, do not write this as negative 1.2. It's a fraction. Just leave it as a fraction. Slope of a line on the graph, everyone remember what to do? Rise over run. Start at any point. I could start there or there. If I start here, my rise goes down. So it's negative 2. And then I got to run over 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's positive. When you go to the right, it's positive. So the slope is negative 2/4. You don't need to simplify, but you can. You could write it as negative 1/2. Either one of them would be correct. Okay, finding the slope and y-intercept of these graphs. Remember, if it's in y equals mx plus b form, as long as the y is by itself, the number in front of the x is the slope, the number added or subtracted is the y-intercept. So in this one, it's written for you. What's the slope?
3.
Negative 3. And the y-intercept? Negative 2. You can write out slope and y-intercept or use the abbreviations M and B. If you forget, they are up on the yellow sign over there. M is slope, B is the y-intercept. This one, it isn't really written in the right form, but it's still y by itself. The slope is the number in front of the x, negative 2. B is the number on the same side as the x, so it's just 4.
So none of these, you don't have to graph?
Only when it says graph.
And then there'll be a graph.
And then there'll be a graph there, yep. So these, we got to put it in the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and then graph it. So this just means get the y by itself. So to get the y by itself, it's the same thing we did in the last chapter. We got to move this over. So remember, it still stays a negative there. Negative 3y equals, it just changes signs when you move something across from positive 2x to negative 2x. That didn't move, so it just stays at plus 9. Then, the y is still not by itself, so I got to divide everything by negative 3. So it'd be y equals negative over negative is positive, 2/3 x. Positive 9 over negative 3 is negative 3. So there's slope-intercept. Then you got to graph it. Ever remember how to graph these? Start at the y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, negative 3. And from there, you do the slope. Rise 2, run 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3. We got to get it in slope-intercept form, so just move the 4x over and the negative 12 over. So this would stay there. This would change from positive to negative 4x. This would change from negative 12 to positive 12. Then you got to divide everything by 12 to get the y by itself. So y equals negative 4x over 12. You could leave it negative 4/12, but your graph isn't really big enough, so this is where it's best to reduce. 2/6 or 1/3. 2/6 would work too. That one you could maybe fit on the graph. Plus 12 over 12 is 1. So there's the y-intercept at positive 1. And from there I go down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3. Or you could have went down 2 and over 6. You would have ended up right there. And then the last one is like the last assignment. Decide whether the graphs are parallel. If they're parallel, what do you got to look for?
Slope.
Same slope.
So, yeah.
So the first one, you got to get them into slope-intercept form. You got to get the y by itself. So we got to move the 5x over. So the y stays there. This would change from positive to negative 5x minus 4. That didn't move. This one, if I move it over, it would change from negative to positive 5x. So, are they parallel?
No.
No. One's negative 5, one's positive 5. Yeah, should be a pretty easy test.